Kasparian.
It's that special time of year again. Nominees are making their case and rehearsing their speeches. Everyone's having their say on who should get the top prize. Anti-Semite of the Year began 6 years ago as what seemed to be a well-meaning campaign to highlight prominent people who had done or said things which were anti-Semitic. But I'm not alone in noticing that the entry criteria fixed by the Stop Anti-Semitism advocacy group has expanded to pretty much anyone who criticises the Israeli government. This year's shortlist includes a couple of people who have peddled genuine anti-Semitic tropes, and a lot of people, including Cenk Uygur, Ana Kasparian, and Tucker Carlson, who, to my knowledge, have not. But there's one name getting all the award season buzz this year.
Dinosaur eggs!
Days of the week, days of the week. Yeah!
Can you help me teach them to stomp? What a special day! We're so smart! Let's pretend that while we're having fun with Bubbles, Bean starts to pee. Bean, you're peeing on the floor. Pee goes in the potty. Let's walk to the potty.
Yes, it's Miss...
What an anti-Semite.
Rachel, the massively popular children's YouTuber who teaches toddlers, amongst many other things, how to use the potty. Critics say she belongs on the list because she's used her enormous platform to advance Hamas propaganda. She posted this video featuring one of her most popular songs to highlight a 3-year-old Gazan refugee who lost her legs in an Israeli airstrike.
Wake up, little bunnies! Skip, little bunnies, skip, skip, skip. Skip, little bunnies, skip, skip, skip. Skip, little bunnies, skip, skip.
We gave them that bomb. We made it and then gave it to them. He said, here, go blow some shit up. We did that.
Glenn Greenwald, who is Jewish, posted yesterday, most people now see that anti-Semitism has no operational meaning beyond one who criticises Israel. But having Miss Rachel win will make that clearer, even for the few who don't yet see it. Her crime is speaking sympathetically of Gazan children. Vote Miss Rachel. Well, does he have a point? Joining me to debate this, a 2025 Anti-Semite of the Year nominee, alongside Miss Rachel, Ana Kasparian, who's also the executive producer and host at The Young Turks. Jake Donnelly, a.k.a. the Red, White and Blue Jew. Hen Mazik, Israeli influencer and author. So welcome to all of you. All right, let's start with you, Ana Kasparian. You're on the list. You've been nominated. How do you feel about that?
I'll get there next year.
I feel fine about it because obviously the list is not one that actually contains real anti-Semites. It's a list that contains individuals who are sometimes very aggressively critical of a foreign country's government, and that would be the country that's currently engaging in multiple wars in an effort to annex more land and territory that doesn't belong to them. And of course, that's Israel. And if anyone's under the impression that putting me on lists is going to dissuade me from speaking the truth about what's going on in the Middle East, they'd sadly be mistaken. And I know a little information about the grotesque woman behind Stop Anti-Semitism, which we can talk about a little bit if you'd like. But I feel fine about being included in that list. And Miss Rachel is a national treasure.
Well, let's come to the case against her before I go to my other panelists. The Stop Anti-Semitism
I'd have gone with a booger wiper, but whatever.
Citation for Miss Rachel's nomination states since earlier this year, Ms. Rachel has published Hamas propaganda to millions, sharing debunked images, inflated casualty claims, and almost entirely ignoring Israeli child victims. My point to you, Jake Donnelly, she's entitled, if she wants, to give more attention to kids in Gaza than Israeli kids. If she completely ignored what has happened to Israeli children, that's one thing. But if she's acknowledged it, but chosen to give more of her time to Gazan children, that doesn't make her anti-Semitic.
No, it doesn't. And first up, Pierce, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak about this. What makes her anti-Semitic is her relationship with Motez Azaza. Because if you're going to be a children's entertainer, you shouldn't have somebody on your show.
So she's an anti-Semite by association. That's what he's saying. Okay.
Who glorifies the murder of 38 Israeli children. That doesn't make any sense to me. And any parent that puts their child in front of somebody like that so that she can push her propaganda, use fake AI imagery in order to do so, and to continue to just publish everywhere the Hamas-run numbers, 14,000 imminent starving children. I've yet to see where any of those are, yeah, that is what makes you an anti-Semite. So it's not necessarily the one-sided stuff that she does, but when you go and you talk about all of the children, well, okay, why don't you talk about the 12 children that were murdered by Hezbollah, the Druze children who are simply playing soccer? She says that she cares about all of the children, but I don't see that. In fact, I see what she's doing as a political game, and I'd rather call this stuff out in 1933 than call it out in November 1938. And that's what I'm seeing. And that's
Okay, and also,
So one side has 12 dead children and the other side has 10,000 dead children, and you don't see the difference. Okay.
to be clear then, all right, but to be clear, if that is your criteria, is that she shows selective empathy, and we'll come to the issue of Motaz Azaza in a moment. But if that's your criteria, should we then apply the same criteria to any pro-Israeli commentator on social media or on the airways, wherever it may be, who has shown selective empathy towards the plight of Israeli children, but never addressed the plight of Palestinian children? Are they Islamophobic?
I think those were two different questions. So for somebody like me, let's just take my case. You will see on my actual X page that I am constantly republishing, reposting, and commenting on the Center for Peace Communications, which are the people who are pushing the Palestinians that are against both Hamas as well as the Palestinian Authority. So when it comes to people who are acting entirely one-sided, I don't want any of that. We have Anna here, and actually, from my opinion, Anna's not the worst of the worst by any stretch of the imagination.
But do you believe she's anti-Semitic?
No, I do not. I do not believe that Anna is anti-Semitic. Okay. I think that she can sometimes be easily manipulated and push the same Hamas-run Ministry of Health numbers.
And out of interest, Jay. And Jay, before Anna, I'll come to Anna. I'll let you respond.
Let's talk about data. No. I get to respond to that. Let's talk about data from the IDF, the IDF's internal data. I don't read American media on what's happening in the Middle East. I actually like to read Israeli media because they're super honest, and I really appreciate their honesty. So Israeli papers
ask them if they have nukes.
Got a hold of the IDF's internal data in regard to civilian casualties in Gaza. And their own data indicates 83% of people slaughtered in Gaza, 83% are civilians.
That's
Israel, the IDF, just shot and killed. Stop, don't interrupt me. IDF just shot and killed an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old in Gaza, claiming that they had crossed the yellow line when no such thing happened. And they tried to make it seem as though an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old are literal militants deserving of the type of slaughter they were met with.
But Anna, the other side lost 12 children, from the people that they've been blowing up.
Okay, listen, I am not going to sit here and just stomach the ridiculous propaganda and lies that keeps getting regurgitated over and over and over again. You guys have to find better talking points. You really do, because these have been debunked over and over again on this show, and they will continue to be debunked on this show, on my show. Americans aren't stupid. They see what's happening. The evidence is abundantly clear. What's amazing to me is the dehumanization of every human life that isn't Israeli or isn't in favor of what that disgusting genocidal government is up to.
Okay, look, we've had some tech issues, Jake, with your signal, so we're trying to fix that. Let me go to Hen Mazzy.
Divine intervention must be.
Well, Hen Mazzy, you've been listening to this. What is your response to what Anna just said?
Yeah, it's rich to speak about dehumanization from a person that said that all Israelis should be ashamed of themselves, that we are demons, that the Jewish lobby controls the U.S., that Israel is a Nazi state.
The Jewish lobby does control the.
How would that be dehumanization, though? Like they're saying you should be ashamed. That's a trait that only humans have. Wouldn't that make them more human? Like, if you're saying that they can have a trait that only a human can have, then how are you dehumanizing them?
US.
Okay, all right. So
Where's
just
the lie?
prove my point, thanks. The problem is that you are not able to look in the mirror and see who you are and what you're doing to the Jewish community.
Oh, I look in the mirror
once the
every day,
Jewish
baby.
community is calling you out for the way you are harming us, instead of listening and trying to change your ways, you're doubling down. And as long as you're going to do that, yes, we are going to continue calling you what you are and saying that what you're doing is really harming our community. So it's what's disgusting here, Anna, is that you are unable to hear to a minority community telling you that your words have contributed to an atmosphere that gets our people killed outside of our synagogues because of your words, because of statements that you said, that others like you have
They
said.
weren't included on the anti-Semite list, by the way. The
What's
guy
that?
who killed 2 Israeli embassy workers, this year, okay, the actual anti-Semite who murdered people, didn't make it on the list.
Right.
Fascinating.
Right.
That
So,
individual
Hen, do you think
Whoever's making that list is just a star fucker, or they've never seen my content.
that Anna,
is.
Hen, do you think that Anna is anti-Semitic?
I think that her words are deeply anti-Semitic. I think she has contributed to an atmosphere that gets our people killed. And I think it's totally legitimate to call this out. And if a minority community is telling you this, you should listen to us. And yes, maybe this person that
But hang on. So let me just stop you there, because I've been branded anti-Semitic, okay, by a lot of people on social media.
and I've defended you previously.
Right, because I deeply resent it.
Right.
Because as everybody remembers, who watches this show, for many, many, many long months after the October the 7th attacks, I vigorously and loudly defended Israel's right to defend itself. This year, from the start of this year,
Why would you even defend against that? We're to the point now where they're just as bad as like the woke side that was trying to say everything's racist. Milk is racist. If you drink milk, you're racist. Don't even care. Good. I'm going to drink my milk and I'm going to be racist then. Like, why do you care? Call me whatever the fuck you want. Y'all worry about shit like that. Like, you know that they call everybody that, so who cares? Everybody's it too. So good.
onwards, I began to be more and more critical of the Israeli government, not of the Israeli people, not of Israel. I wasn't denying its existence. I wasn't attacking Jewish people or Israeli people, specifically the government, Benjamin Netanyahu, and also specifically the right-wing headbangers in that government like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. And for my troubles, despite painstakingly making it clear who was the object of my criticism, I was regularly branded anti-Semitic. So I do believe it's something that's been thrown around way too much. It's done in a deliberate, concerted effort to shut people up from criticizing anything that Israel's doing. So yes, there is genuine anti-Semitism, no question. I think it's been rising in the last 2-3 years, which is appalling. But throwing it around to silence people, and I'm not accusing you, Hen, I'm just saying this is what I've been on the receiving end, is it's just been used as a stick to censor people and to shut them up. And I think that's abhorrent.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I'm not saying that, yes, some people use anti-Semitism too widely and in a wide brush that they shouldn't have to do it. And I think it's true for every minority community. As a gay person, I see how people use the term homophobic quite casually to say anyone that has any criticism of LGBTQ people is homophobic. I understand that it's not like that. And it's the same with anti-Semitism. But that doesn't take away from the severity of people making statements that end up, as Anna mentioned, the same statements that we hear from them are the ones that are being used to shoot Jews outside of our Holocaust Museum in DC.
And what about Miss Rachel? Do you think she's anti-Semitic?
So the anti-Semite isn't the person killing people. It's the person telling them that those people are bad, right? So you can't say those people are bad, otherwise you're the anti-Semite. But they just use that same argument in the last debate. We just saw that it's not Israel's fault when they come and tell us to do shit. You got to blame, it's the fault of the lemming that listens to them, right? So they're talking out of both sides of their mouth as usual.
I don't think she's anti-Semitic, but I think she's really misguided. And I think the fact that when she hosted Moatez Aziza that celebrated Hamas on her platform, and then when Jews called her out, she said trying to defend starving children is not anti-Semitism. It played directly into a medieval blood libel that says that Jews are trying to kill children, and we use anti-Semitism to stop.
Pull out your Israeli talking point fucking bingo card and mark off blood libel. That's a big one.
To stop her from trying to stop us. We're not silencing her. We're calling her out. We're calling her in, rather. And if she just listen to us and have this conversation, if Anna just listened to us and have a conversation instead of screaming every time she hears Jewish person criticize her, I'm sure that next year she wouldn't be on the list.
Well, let me read Miss Rachel's response on Instagram to this nomination. She said, I'm so thankful to Jewish organizations, rabbis, friends, colleagues, and family for standing by me. I'm against anti-Semitism and all forms of hate and racism. I'm incredibly proud of my work to help Palestinian children. With 20,000 Palestinian children killed, most child amputees in modern history, homes, schools, hospitals bombed, 17,000 orphans, everyone should be speaking out. She's very keen to stress she's not anti-Semitic. She doesn't hate Jewish people. So why would she be targeted?
That's not what you need to be an anti-Semite anymore, Pierce. That's the old rules. Now you can just criticize Israel and you're one. You can just do all kind of shit and you're one. You don't even know you're doing it sometimes and you're one.
Targeted in this way?
Well, we've already discussed it. When you are a children entertainer and you bring somebody on who glorifies a day in which 38 children were murdered, well, we're going to have some questions as to
But
Well,
I've had
last.
people, but my response to that is I've had many guests on here on the pro-Palestinian
Just doubled. It was 12 a minute ago.
side, not who've glorified October the 7th, but certainly you've refused to condemn it. So does that make me anti-Semitic for giving them a platform?
No, you're a journalist. You're not a children's entertainer, although sometimes it can get pretty childish on this show. But that's not the case here. And if we're talking about anti-Semitism and what actually constitutes anti-Semitism, we already have something on this show where Ana says that 83%, that's just those who are identified. That is a misleading statistic. And either Ana, you know
No, it's not.
how to read
83% of those slaughtered in Gaza were identified as civilians by the
were
IDF.
identified. So you're not
You
reading
can't
the
spin it.
statistic correctly. So
No.
you either know how to read
83% were
statistics
identified as
correctly,
civilians
or
by the
are you doing
IDF,
this on
according to
purpose?
Israeli
You're the one that
papers.
talks
Everyone
about
It is their numbers. She didn't just make that number up. That's the number they say, even though they don't know the numerator or the denominator when they do the ratios. So it's probably a little bit worse.
check
let's
that
not
out.
have
Yeah, everyone
You're
can
the one that
Google
talks
it.
about
You
it's
have no
fine. Everyone
argument
can see
because
because the
line.
truth is
You're
on
the
my
one that's
side, and I know
propagating
that's so
pro-Hamas
difficult. So stop
propaganda.
embarrassing yourself.
Well, Anna, let
I'm
me
not
ask you though.
embarrassing myself. I understand
Anna, let me ask
statistics
Anna
and you
this.
don't.
No, hang on. Let me ask Anna this question. Was it unwise of Miss Rachel to be so outspoken about this? Not because she's not entitled to, or it's not an incredibly important issue, but the fact she is a children's entertainer with a huge, huge audience. Was it unwise of her to get overtly political like this?
The days of Zionists bullying Americans into silence is over. Put that in your pipe and
That's a
smoke
different
it.
question, though.
I'd like to read a quote.
Oh, that was great.
I'd like to read a quote.
Yeah, the biggest bully on the
Miss
internet
Rachel,
is talking about bullying. Give me a
She
break.
is
Come
Miss
on.
Rachel is an American. God bless her.
Did Anna get anyone to start a war for her? No. So how's she the biggest bully?
And as an American, she is afforded the freedom
She
to
is.
speak
No one's
out
doubting
against
that. Listen,
injustice
no,
as she
hang
sees
on,
it.
Anna,
So do
no
I
one-
think it's wise?
No, but no one's-
Obviously, I think it's wise.
No
It's
one's
what I do
doubting-
for a living.
No one's doubting her
I
right
think it's
to.
wise.
No one's doubting her
I think
right
it's
to
wise.
say it.
Yes.
But it's whether it's.
Answered your question. I think it's wise. Because they're going to call everyone an anti-Semite.
What would you say if
As
she-
long as you're
All
not
right, but
bowing down
what
to the
would she say-
government of Israel, they're going to call you an anti-Semite.
Right,
They
but
don't
what-
even care about the value of Jewish lives here in the United
Okay,
States.
but Anna-
if
Stop
those
it.
Jewish individuals are critical of Israel,
But Anna,
it's
if it
all
was-
about Israel.
All right.
This is about an ideology, not about an identity, a heritage, a religion, or an ethnicity.
Okay, but if it
Make
was-
sure you realize that. Because
Okay, but if it was
weaponizing anti-Semitism for Israel's purposes is so
All right,
disgusting.
But if it was a
I'm loving it. A Goyim uprising. Yes.
children's entertainer who was pro-Israeli,
yeah.
Oh, Anna would have.
what would you say? And be honest about this.
If she is showing the humanity of Israeli children, why would I have a problem with that?
Oh, come on.
Really?
And Pierce, you've had me on this show multiple times. Yeah, I 100%.
But if you
had me on
deem-
this
if
show
you
multiple
deem she
times.
only
You
cared about
asked me
Israeli kids-
multiple times.
Right. But if you
Do you
deem
know
she
what year
cared.
it is? Pierce, do you know what year it is? Okay, it's not October 7th, 2023. Since then, over 2.5 years later, tens of thousands of children have been slaughtered on the Palestinian side.
Yeah, but that's not my
So when
question.
they bring up the what
That's
about
not my
what
question.
about what about everyone condemns what happened to Israeli civilians
Yeah, but
on
that's not my
October 7th.
question.
I have done that
Anna,
on this show.
Anna, you're answering a
I have
different.
done that on this show.
Yeah, I'm not
the
questioning-
Thing is, the
I'm
two
not
individuals
questioning
on this
that.
panel right now do not care about Palestinian lives.
Well, I don't-
And
I
they
don't
want
think-
to,
I don't believe
basically
that's true.
deflect
That's
I
false.
don't believe
focus
that's
on
true.
so-called anti-Semitism.
I don't
that
believe
doesn't
that's true, but my
exist.
question
they don't
was-
care.
my
They
question-
don't
Israel.
care.
All right,
let me read
talk-
you a quote
let me
then.
talk,
Let me read you
Anna.
a quote.
Let me
this
talk.
is from
Let me talk.
Tali Gottlieb. Tali Gottlieb says, "We have no hostages left. We no longer have to be precise, as if the IDF was ever precise in Gaza. We can attack without mercy. Merciless. What do the two individuals on this panel have to say about that?
Well, I want you
Discussing
to-
genocidal rhetoric.
Okay, but I just want you to answer my question first, which is actually
ask them.
specifically about whether a children's entertainer with a massive reach, if they were promoting the pro-Israeli position on this war and not really mentioning
Oh,
the
genocide?
Palestinian side.
No, I would not think that's a good idea.
So from Pierce's perspective, you have to either support Israel or keep your mouth shut. That's your options. You can't see this and say, hey, maybe the other side, I'm on their side. That's not allowed if you're in media. And you know why he thinks that, because you know who owns media.
Yeah.
So you would not like that to happen?
If they're promoting genocide, I would not.
That's not what
like
he asked.
that.
No,
I
no.
would think
If they were
that
just,
is
if they were
unwise.
being supportive of Israel, but they weren't mentioning the Palestinians,
Right. The side committing the genocide. That's what she's saying.
implied much. What would you say about that? Would you think it's appropriate
I
for
would say that
children's
sounds a
entertainment?
lot like American media.
No, but my point would
I would
be
say
that
that
I think
sounds like
that-
a- I mean-
I think you would be very critical if a children's entertainer was overtly pro-Israeli. That's the point. So is there a double standard here? On both sides, by the way. I've seen it on both sides. But is there a double standard in how you apply it to this kind of story where if it was the other way round, would you be so...
It is different if you're supporting Jeffrey Dahmer as opposed to the side that's against Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, what is he not getting? Those little children in Gaza aren't killing anybody. They're all dying. And a lot of them in Israel aren't. They're fine. They're going to school, right? That's the issue here. She's allowed to side with the side that's getting destroyed and not side with the people doing the destroying. But Pierce doesn't even understand that option does exist.
vehement in your defense of it? I suspect not, right?